Good afternoon and welcome to the principal's office. I am Principal Edward Gordon. I am so glad you have tuned in for this weekly broadcast where we will be interviewing educational stakeholders who have made a significant impact for themselves, for others, and with others in education. In the book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, written by Dr. John C. Maxwell, he talks about the law of modeling. The law of modeling states it's hard to improve when you have no one but yourself to follow. A good mentor is a worthy example, available, has proven experience, possesses wisdom, provides friendship, provides support, and makes a difference in people's lives. We believe there are many outstanding leaders in this world, and weekly we want to highlight those leaders, leaders that will help us provide models of excellence for others. Today, my guest is Miss Nichelle J. Gordon Scott. Good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me this afternoon.
You're very welcome. I would like to start off with a brief introduction of our guest today. Nichelle J. Gordon Scott is a graduate of Bennett College in Greensboro, North Carolina, with a Bachelor of Arts and Sciences in Interdisciplinary Studies. Nichelle continues her education at Montclair State University, receiving a Master of Arts in Administration and Supervision and Educational Training. She is currently enrolled at Caldwell University, pursuing a PhD in Educational Leadership with a concentration in higher education. Ms. Gordon Scott is a woman that God has blessed to dedicate her time and talents to students within the New Jersey public school systems. She has worked in the field of education for over 20 years with a solid background in school reform, curriculum, instruction and assessment, professional development, grant writing, student data, and early childhood education. Nichelle started her career in education as a substitute teacher in the Passaic Public School District while attending college. She has served students in East Orange, Irvington, Orange, and Paterson, New Jersey. On her journey, she has been a highly effective preschool, kindergarten, third, sixth, and eighth grade teacher. She has positively influenced school districts as a whole school reform facilitator, data team mentor, staff development supervisor, and director of professional development. She has experience as an educational presenter and coach for Catapult Learning, where she provided professional development to teachers and administrators throughout New Jersey, New York, and Philadelphia. Nichelle currently serves as a sixth and eighth grade literacy teacher for Patterson Public Schools. Nichelle J. Gordon Scott continues to foster her passion for sisterhood, scholarship, and service as an active member of the Bennett College National Alumni Association. She is also a proud member of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, who is celebrating 108 years of service. Nichelle J. Gordon Scott is a proud mother of three children: Kaylin, age 23, Rachel, age 20, and Brandon C. Scott, age 16 years old. Her favorite scripture is Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Please help me welcome Miss Nichelle Gordon Scott to the show today.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for that wonderful, wonderful introduction. Wow, sometimes hearing it on the other end, it's amazing. Yeah, but it's
You
all through
definitely,
God's grace and mercy.
yes, you definitely have a very extensive background, and I'm excited to learn more about you and also be able to share your story with our audience today. Robin Moore, an author, says inside each of us is a natural born storyteller waiting to be released. I have to ask you, what's your story?
My story: born in Charleston, South Carolina, raised in Montclair, New Jersey, an active member of St. Mark's AME since the age of 4. Loving family. When I look back over my life, I can see all of the love, not only from my immediate family, such as my parents, and my brother, but also my extended family that has always poured into me the sense of responsibility, the sense of dedication, the sense of commitment, but most importantly, the sense of being true to who you are and really honing in on your gifts and understanding that it is not about the occupation, it is about what you can do for someone else, how you can give yourself so that someone else grows just by being in your presence. A little bit as a middle schooler in seventh grade, I was diagnosed with what is called scoliosis. With scoliosis, I wore a back brace for 4 years. Seventh and eighth grade, I wore what was called a Milwaukee back brace, which actually extended from my neck all the way down to my thigh. And then from ninth and 10th grade in high school, I wore what is called a Boston brace. With that experience, that was actually my first encounter with really talking with young girls, because being one of the first to be in the district of Montclair to actually wear a back brace and to really have scoliosis. One of the things the nurses used to call me down and ask me to talk to another young girl that may be going through it. Also, when we had the East Orange General Hospital, I used to participate in group sessions where I would actually talk to young girls throughout New Jersey in reference to how to deal with wearing a brace, how it is okay to wear a back brace, how you can still do whatever you enjoy doing, but understanding that it is only temporary. And that made me strong. And that actually started my passion for working with other people. It gave me the ability to really use my voice in a positive light and to be able to share with others my gift of life, my gift of life, and understanding that all things happen for a reason.
Thank you very much for sharing that story. And yes, it is very true and important that for everyone to understand we all have gifts. And the gifts are not just for us, it's for us to share with others. And also, there are situations and challenges and things that we go through in life, but all that is for a reason. And that's to be able to help and encourage someone else that might be going through a similar situation. So, thank you very much for sharing with the audience your story. Please tell me, what is your current role and how have you had to pivot in your education based on COVID-19?
Well, currently as an eighth grade and sixth grade literacy teacher, learning how to teach online, learning how to make sure that I am providing all of the resources necessary virtually for my students to succeed. I'm a very active individual. I like to get involved with my students. I like to know what's going on in their home, in their lives. So, therefore, it became very challenging to be able to really connect with the students the way that I usually like to do. So I had to do a lot of planning. I had to do a lot of researching on different instructional tools and resources that I can use to bring the best out of myself and my teaching techniques in order to reach my students. I had to understand that in this virtual realm, that I need my students to be on the camera. And every day I tell them, okay, I need your camera on. And it's just so that I can see their face, so that I can see their smile or their frown or whatever that is on their face in order to be able to go through the day with the lesson. I also begin my virtual lesson with a quote And within that quote, I will pull out vocabulary words, which builds their vocabulary, and then I'll give them reflection questions where they would have to answer a question that is based on the quote. All of our quotes are motivational, just to uplift them, to let them know that where they are today does not mean that they will be there tomorrow, and to understand that who they are in this circumstances, in this virtual world, they can still achieve, but they just have to be able to put the time, put the effort, and to understand that I am there to care for them. And every day, that journal entry process is a process for them to be able later on to look back and to see all of those accumulation of positive affirmations saying that they are, very special. And it is my role to make sure that they understand that how special they are. And it builds their vocabulary. And that's the most important thing. So as we go through this process, my role as sixth grade and eighth grade teacher is not to just impart the curriculum, but to really teach the child, and that is the whole child. And that is understanding that I'm not there just to instruct the curriculum, but I am there to be able to empower them to understand and to give them the resources they need to excel, not only in the next grade, but in high school as well as college, if they decide to do that, but most importantly, in life.
Thank you very much for that answer. Teaching the child, that is really important. That's really key in education. It's not about just the curriculum and also the assessments, but it's about the building relationships with the students that are in front of you,
Yes.
teaching the child, and not only thinking about where they are right now, but really helping them to think even for themselves and believe in themselves for where they can go in the future. So that daily quote that you're giving them and really increasing and improving their capacity, that sounds wonderful for the students that you instruct. Very good. What I want to ask you is, what gets you excited every day?
Every morning when I wake up, and I don't use an alarm to wake up, but every morning when I do wake up, just knowing that I can see another day, that I am here for another day. I do not take it for granted because someone is not waking up in the morning. So that excites me. What excites me is to know that I am going to face a new day with the new challenges, but are willing to see what I need to do in order to face those challenges. What excites me is that today is a new day to get something right. Today is a new day to change anything that I saw that needed to be changed yesterday that I can work on today. What excites me is the ability to be able to be in front of a group of students every single day and to know that they are there because I understand that I am a servant leader and I am there to serve them. I am there to make sure that they get the best of me so that I can get the best out of them.
Very nice. You definitely shared several things that excite you and wake you up in the morning, and the opportunity just to be able to pour into your students and to others each and every day. That's wonderful. I want to ask you, what is the most recent book you have read outside of, you're reading a lot of books right now for your doctoral studies, but
Oh,
outside
yes.
of your doctoral studies, and what is the most recent book that you're reading? And also, how is that book impacting your actions?
Outside of my studies now, which I'm really reading a lot, I would say the book that I always try to read a book of affirmations. I always try to focus on self-help books because I'm always growing. So I would say my last book would be Leading with Strategic Thinking. Leading with Strategic Thinking. Learning how to lead from the inside out. Learning how to lead with passion, with a purpose, and also with a vision.
Very nice. And that is really key for members of our audience to really listen to. When you're in a school as a teacher, any type of support staff, as a school leader, having vision, passion, and purpose is really key to the work that educators are doing. So thank you very much for sharing that. Do you have a mentor or a coach in your life? And if so, what has been one thing you learned from your mentor or coach that has impacted your career?
I have several mentors, and the reason why I have several mentors, it because for the several different aspects of my life. For example, I have mentors in the educational realm that is there to for as far as my career, what I'm doing in terms of working within the school systems. Those mentors are there to help me, to guide me, to allow me to understand the culture, to be able to provide me with new resources and techniques. They are there to actually listen when I have questions, and to also help me understand greater how I can move forward in the educational realm. I also have a mentor um, through my seeking my education through Caldwell University. I surround myself with individuals that can really that know me, that are where I want to be. So I have mentors that have served as presidents in colleges and universities, who I have the opportunity to pick up the phone and to call, that will be able to honestly give me advice in terms of what I need to do, how I need to stay focused. And not only that, to share with me some of the ugly sides of what they had to go through being in the role as a president of a college or a university. I have mentors in my church, individuals that mentor me spiritually, so that they pour in me what I need to know, and to so that I can grow spiritually, as a spiritual person as I continue on my journey in life. So mentorship is not just a one-stop shop. Mentorship is ongoing. It is continuous. I have mentors in my sorority where I constantly pick up the phone and talk to, because those are the individuals that I know that have been in the sorority much longer than I have, that can be able to guide and direct and be able to tell me exactly what I need to do and how I can move forward with certain things that I want to do within the sorority. So mentorship is not only in one aspect in my life, but it's in several aspects in my life, and I have different mentors for different things.
Thank you very much for bringing that point home about the fact of mentorship is, first of all, important. And I encourage everyone to have a mentor. And I also encourage everyone to have a coach in their life to pull out what's inside of them out. But
Yes.
also the fact that for different areas of your life, you should have a mentor, someone that is farther along the journey than you, to be able to share their experiences and really help you to get where you want to go. So, thank you for sharing about the experiences that you are having with mentorship. I want to just talk a little bit about professional development. Just looking back at your career, you have extensive career with staff as a staff developer, as a coach, as a trainer. For you and for the audience, can you please share what do you see as being effective professional development?
Effective professional development is job embedded, ongoing professional development. It is not effective to have one shop professional development. Professional development should be tailored to the needs of a specific group of individuals. And how do you tailor that needs? You tailor that needs by first providing the individuals with a survey so that they can specifically tell you what their needs are. And then you develop your professional development based on their specific needs. Therefore, professional developments may be in terms of whole group sessions and maybe small group sessions, and maybe even in a one on one coaching environment. But professional development, to really be effective, it must be job embedded, it must be ongoing, it must be a supportive resource and framework that provides the individuals with the resources and the tools that they need to be an effective individual in the position in which they are serving in.
Thank you. The key point that you just brought out, very clear to me, is about the differentiated professional development. Really understanding the individual teachers in your organization, your school, what they need, a group of teachers might need, and really catering the professional development to meet their needs. So that is definitely a golden nugget that we all should definitely live by as we are developing professional development for our schools. I want to ask you a question. What do you see as the greatest challenge in education today, and why?
The greatest challenge in education today is, to me, I would say, equity. And the reason why I use the term equity, because just looking at the state of New Jersey, in which I am currently in, we have several school districts that are not equitable, meaning, and I've always worked within an urban school district, and that was by choice because I wanted to be in a district where that I can actually give back the most of me. And looking within those urban school districts, based on the community in which they are located, the funding is not there, lack of resources is not there, the structure of school buildings are very old. Also, the fact that many of our children in those districts face a lot of challenges that schools may not have the resources. And I'm not only talking about the physical resources, but I'm talking about the human capacity to really meet the needs of the children. So, one of the greatest challenges in our education is making sure that all of our students, regardless of where they live, receives a thorough and efficient education, receives the education that will allow them to really grow and excel as an individual, and that challenges them, that nurtures them. So I think that is one of our greatest challenges that I see within the realm of education, not only in New Jersey, but across this country.
Yes, thank you. And you mentioned about the resources, and resources is not only just funding for different programs, it's not just for curriculum, it's not just the fact of in terms of different supplies that might be within the building, but
Correct.
the human resources is really key. The
Yes.
technology, we need to look at the whole picture when it comes to resources and make sure that for every school district, for every child, and not only in the state of New Jersey but throughout this country, has what they need to be able to eliminate the opportunity gaps as well as achievement gaps that are
Right.
so often seen in our schools. So thank you very much for sharing that. I wanted to ask you, what advice would you share with an inspiring teacher or an inspiring school leader?
Learning is ongoing. Always challenge yourself to learn something new. Never give up. If something does not work the first time, try it the second time. Always look within yourself, understand the reason why you were there. Know the individuals that you work with. Situational awareness. Be aware of your situation. Be aware of your colleagues or your students or other administrators. Just be aware of your circumstances in which you work. I encourage inspiring teachers and administrators to really know the community in which they are serving, know the students in which they are serving, know the staff in which they are serving. Be able to be a risk taker. Understand that change only comes if you try something new. And you have to be willing to try something new. Do not be afraid to speak up. Do not be afraid to stand on your own. You may not always have to go with the flow of whatever is going on. Be willing to stand for what is right, especially if it benefits all of the children. And that is your goal. Make sure you develop relationships with the community in which you are serving, and that's the number one thing. You must be able to develop a relationship with the community in which you are serving. Change comes from within, but it only takes one person to be an effective change agent. So if you're going into the field, know why you're going into it. Understand the reasons why you were there. Have a purpose, have a plan. Be able to look back, to be able to reinvent yourself, be able to change course when you have to, in order to really meet the needs of all of those that you are working with.
Yes. Thank you. You mentioned about the opportunity to reinvent yourself. And during this month, January, February,
Right.
many school districts have some challenges with school budgets and
Hmm.
funding. And there are some teachers as well as school leaders that are listening in the audience that might be in a situation that the job is going to be eliminated and a reduction in staff. Is there any advice or encouragement that you would like to share with these school leaders and also school teachers that might be in a situation, this transition that might be happening within their schools at this time?
My first time I was riffed, and that's a reduction in force. I was the supervisor for staff development. Worked there for 3 years. Loved the position. Oh my goodness. Loved the challenges. Had a wonderful administrator who actually allowed me to be me and to really train. And then through different leaderships and changing budget cuts, that was one of the positions, the supervisor of staff development, um, had to go. So that was my first experience of being ripped. I was home for a while, and while I was home, I was continuously working with other agencies, training, and that's how I fell into the realm of Catapult Learning, LLC. And with that, I was able to start working with them to train not only in the state of New Jersey, but in New York, as well as in Pennsylvania for private and public schools. But the key to all of that is to really understand that you have to continuously, even through that process, grow, either by taking courses or reading or aligning yourself with individuals in the field that you want to go into so that they can be that mentor and provide you with information that will help you and guide you to where you want to go. But you have to reinvent yourself. You have to be an individual that is willing to look at who you are, understand your strengths and your weaknesses, and know how to really hone in on your strengths,
Mhm.
but work on your weaknesses to make to empower you to be the better you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing that with the audience. Educators look for a work life balance. You're a mother, you're completing advanced degrees, an active member of your church. How do you create work life balance with your personal and professional roles?
Through balanced leadership. Um, One of the courses that I took at Carville University was actually my very, very first course that I took, and it was a leadership course. And the professor, Dr. King, actually had us do exercises and exercises, mental exercises. But one of the exercises that I remember so vividly that I use today is knowing your time, knowing how to spend. Do you know how you are spending your time? And what he had us to do is to write down from the time you woke up in the morning what you actually did throughout that day. And the first time I did that, I was like, wow, there's a lot of wasted time in there, or there was a lot of time that I spent on the unnecessary stuff, the stuff that was not really vital to what I need to spend my time on in order to grow as a professional. Very eye-opening activity, which was very, very good, very, very good. Another activity that he had us to do was to, in order to be a risk taker, think of something that you are willing to do that you would not have done before, and then write about it. So I had to think of some things that I wouldn't have never did before, didn't even think about doing before, and actually take the time to do it. And after doing those things, I was able to say, okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought. And it can be as simple as I'm one, I don't like to return things. I really don't. I'm not one that goes to, if I purchase it, and that's unfortunate, that's why I have a lot of stuff around here because I don't return things. So if I purchase something and either it doesn't fit or I don't like it, I put it up, put it in a drawer, put it somewhere. But so that was one of my challenges. I said, okay, I'm going to do that. So I actually did that. I actually purchased a pair of pants that I did not need, did not want, and I actually went back and I returned it. And after I did it, I said, wow, that was not as bad as I thought it was. So, being a risk taker, stepping out on what you would normally not do, it will really give you a greater sense of understanding that, you know what, if I can do this, then I can do something else. So, yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing that about
I,
really being focused and understanding about the time that you have and how you're using the time, but also what are you doing that is going to give you the most return. And when you understand that, so many times you're going to have to step out and take a new risk to really grow and increase your capacity. So thank you very much for sharing that. You're an active member of the Bennett College National Alumni Association. I just wanted to know why have you decided to do such work?
when I first stepped on Venice College campus in 1985, that first day, because I decided to go to Bennett without even visiting Bennett. And the reason why I ended up at Bennett, I had she wasn't my teacher, but she was a language arts teacher by the name of Miss Green. And I was walking down the hallway in Montclair High School, and she stopped me. And she said, you know, I see you around school, but what is your name? And I told her my name. I said, my name is Nichelle Gorton. And she said, you are a Bennett Bell. And I said, okay, what is a Bennett Bell? She said, you're a Bennett Bell, and I need you to, and she gave me information. She said, I need you to go home, and I need you to read this pamphlet. I need you to really look over it. And once you finish looking over it, come back to me. So I looked over the pamphlet that was given to me from Miss Green. I went back to her, and then she said, well, what do you think? And I said, oh, it's an all girls school. She said, yes. And I said, well, it's in Greensboro. She said, yes. And she said, there's you remember a young lady by the name of Yolanda Green? I said, yes. She said, well, she's there as well. So I said, okay. And then looking at, having conversations with my parents, finding out where I wanted to go. And it seemed like every place, my parents were even thought about, especially my dad, he knew somebody was working there. So I was like, no, 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 no. Let me go someplace where I know you do not know anyone working, and that is Bennett College. So that's actually how I ended up at Bennett College in Greensboro, North Carolina. So going back to the very first time I stepped on campus, very small campus. It was rainy. It was dreary. It had a fog or a cast over it. So I said, okay, but I was determined. I was not coming back home. I am staying here. I'm not coming back home. I'm staying here. So we went back to, we registered with my parents, and we got to the dorm, which was Pfeiffer Hall. Walked upstairs to the third floor. We were on the third floor, went into my room, sat down. It was my mother who started unpacking stuff. And, she's unpacking and she's going through her thing and she's crying. And my dad's like, listen, am I leaving you here? What are you crying for? And, I'm not leaving you here. And then she's like, no. So, and my dad said, you sure you want to stay? When he asked me that question, you sure you want to stay? I said, yes, I'm staying. So I stayed at Bennett, and I met friends that are my friends to this day. Sisters that I met in '85 that are still my sisters today. Bennett College is about not only about learning academically, but learning socially. Um, learning as who you are as a woman. And while I was on campus and going through the different classes, I met some phenomenal instructors. And then the president was visible right there. She was an individual at that time, and we had transitioned my freshman year. We had one president, and then we transitioned to another president, Dr. Gloria Randall Scott. And Dr. Gloria Randall Scott was evident, and she had her first meeting with all of us, and she sat us in the cafeteria, and she said, "I want you to look to the right, I want you to look to the left, look forward, and look back, because the individuals that are with you now will not be with you throughout your journey. So understand that, and I'm challenging you to do your very best. As young African American women, I am challenging you to do your very best. Of course, being young, being away from home from the first time, my very best slipped. So my grades fell, and it was my dad. It wasn't Bennett. It was actually my dad who said, "You know what? No, I'm not paying for this anymore." So it was, and Dean Harris. Dean Harris was an individual that knew you by your name. And it's a very small school. So she knew you by your name and she called you with confidence. You were, you know, Miss Nichelle. And that's the way she talked to you. And she said, well, I have a bus ticket for you to go home. And I was like, huh? On a Greyhound bus. And I was like, wow. I said, and then I'm crying and all my friends who, and then, we're calling home and saying, no, no, let us stay. My dad's like, nope, nope, nope. She's coming home. She's not wasting my money anymore. So I'd already put it in my mind that I was coming back. I was coming back. Regardless, I was coming back. So I had to spend a semester home. So, all my friends, we packed some things up. We put some things away, got on the bus, got to the bus station, and everybody's crying. And then the bus driver, he goes, sit right here in this front seat. And I'm like, wow, you know my dad too? And he was like, no. He said, I've seen this so many times before. He said, you're going to New Jersey. You will get off the bus when I tell you to get off the bus, so that, you can get something to eat or go to the bathroom. And that was my ride home, ride with tears filled, but that was my ride home. And then when I got home, I worked. Oh, did I work? I worked 3 jobs, and I saved my money. I saved my money, and then about time I got to the point where I had enough, and summer school was starting. Um, I bought a plane ticket to go back to Greensboro. I wrote a note and I put it on my pillow, and I said, "About time you wake up, I will be back in Greensboro." All this leads to the fact that once I got back on campus, I was greeted with open arms by all staff, administrators, and would say, "Okay, Nichelle, this is your second chance. What are you going to do with it?" So I did my best. And then from there, and I did exceptionally well. And I realized, okay, now why couldn't I do that before? But, lessons learned. And you have to be able to learn from your lessons.
Mm.
And then we started participating in what is called the Alumni Weekend, where older belles who have graduated from Bennett will come on campus. And as a student, we would either serve, because everything used to be held right on campus, used to be held in the cafeteria. They would have the luncheons, and we would serve, and they would always tell us, these are your older belles, and as you're serving, you greet them, you respect them as your older bells. So I said, okay, once I finish Bennett, I'm going to be a part of that network, because that's what it is. It is a network. It is a network of African American strong, educated women across, and I can say across the country, because I have Bennett sisters that are now in Africa, that have been in Africa, that have went to school here but went back home. So it is across the country. And and then once I graduated, there were a group of North Jersey Bennett College Alumni Association that was there for my graduation. And they were the first individuals that embraced me and said, "Okay, Nichelle, now that you have graduated, this is where you're going to be. We welcome you into the National Alumni Association." And it was the start. In 1990, when I graduated, that was when I began my participation working with the National Association of Bennett College. And from there, my love for Bennett has always, every day it grows. It's something new, and it grows every single day. And I work with the organization to be able to give back what was given to me as a young belle, to be able to be a recruiter at different high schools and different church events, and to be able to talk to young women about the importance of an education, but most importantly, about the importance of a Bennett Bell education, because it is the education for the future, but it's sisterhood for life. So, and that's why I continuously give.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that story for you around having a vision about the college and what you wanted to do. Yes, for many of us, we always have some challenges and some setbacks, but you showed hard work and persistence. You came back, you graduated from that university, and now you're giving back and serving, and also helping the Alumni Association with recruitment. So that's a wonderful story, and I'm glad you had the opportunity today to share. As we close out for the day, what is one thing that you would like to share with the audience?
To be yourself, to be authentic, know who you are, know your purpose, know your vision, and to be able to surround yourselves with individuals that will empower you. That will empower you. Understand that you cannot do anything on your own. You need to have a network of individuals that will be able to provide you with the necessary tools and resources to succeed. Understand that things may not always go your way. but know that you are to be persistent and to never give up. I also would like to share that growth depends on you. How much you want to go, where you want to go, what you want to do, truly depends on you. So understand who you are, understand what you want to do, but most importantly, understand how what you do, what you say, impact others, and know that you want to be the individual that gives to others. So when people look at you, you want them to know that you are there to support, to guide, to lead, to courage, to cultivate, to nurture, and to grow with. I can't hear you.
Thank you. I want to thank you for being on the show today. And thank you for modeling excellence for our family and your school community. And for everyone watching, thank you for tuning in to the principal's office. Join us next week for another episode with an amazing educator that has done things significantly for themselves, for others, and with others. Have a great week. See you soon.
Thank you very much. Bye.